love me, 'cause I don't think I love me anymore. Maybe I think too much, so I drink to rush all my demons out the door. Tell me that it's all inside my head. Call it OCD, tell me it's you, not me, 'cause it's driving me mad. I don't think I'm losing my mind, building all these walls over time. Every time I lose my way, I find you. I know that when fears start to hit me, know that you're the one to lift me. I find you, yeah, I'll find you. Myself and pride, my insecurities haunting my memories, 'cause I'm holding them inside. Let go, put my thoughts back into words. Feels like I let me down, ain't got no golden crown, I'm just trying to be right. I don't think I'm losing my mind, building all these walls over time. Every time I find you.
And a couple missed calls in a new city with a couple new walls and some new friends. They don't know who you are, but I like them better anyway. 'Cause they don't stress when I'm having some fun, and they don't kiss if I'm feeling undone. Though I can't sleep now, I wonder if I like it better, like it better. We've been so unattached that I think I need to connect. 'Cause can't fall asleep alone. I think I still need you on the phone. Yeah, I can't fall asleep alone. And I just miss the way you go. And I hate the way we left it, pretending being selfish. But you know I cannot help it, 'cause I'm not the best with help. But still need you on the phone, 'cause I can't fall asleep alone. Oh God, just a second, think I might have slept it. I'm the one who made this bed, I gotta rep it. Ain't no rest for the wicked or the selfish, but maybe there's another way to say that I like to our boss when I calls you. Ain't a thing that is called but a fall through. Got a couple nights and they are all for you. We've been so unattached such that I think I need to connect. 'Cause I can't fall asleep alone. No, I can't. Think I still need you on my phone. I still need you on my phone. Can't fall asleep alone. I can't. And I just miss the way you go. Oh yeah. And I hate the way we left it, pretending being selfish, but you know I cannot help it, 'cause I'm not the best with helping. survive, left the battlefield, 1974. Takes hold, then I just might wind up dead. Wasted, face it, you're never gonna be the one. Rockstar, you won't get far, at least you had fun. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, a king or a queen, as long as you got a dream. Oh no, it's a lie, they just wanna take your life, try to tell you it's a battlefield. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. My damn, what a lie. What a time to be alive. How have I survived? Left the battlefield, 1974.
It's funny how the world keeps turning. Stars like ladders in the sky keep burning, burning. It's crazy how the storms keep raging, and I'm here trying to keep my heart from aching.
The RPG of the week, 5 months, 20th edition, 14 unique winners in the last 19, maybe one more to add tonight. I am Noah Lake. I'm joined by Mocked Fish for a very exciting edition. 20 is a big number, Mocked. We're hitting those, well, not double digits, but you know, the second set of double digits.
Not quite the double digits, but I remember when we were going for 2 months, 3 months, then 4 months, we were all like, okay, this is kind of mad, right? And technically, this is the 2020's first competition because we had edition number 0, right?
It's true.
So technically, we are already one ahead. And to be part of like a third of all of them, thank you very much, Nia, for having me on for so long. And
that you can put up with me long enough, yeah.
That you can put up. I was about to say that you can put up with me for so long. But of course. We're here for another week of Mini RPG of the Week, and as you said, 5 months. My goodness. It's fun. I mean, hey, it's fun. It's really good, though.
Look, long may it continue, and I mean, there's some things in the works. It may continue long indeed, but we are looking forward to this week. And we might as well run through the rules. I mean, I think there's most people here know them already, but just in case someone is catching us for the first time, we're going to be playing a little bit of Mini RPG. The server is open, players are already getting in, and when the hour ticks over, they will load onto a map that nobody has seen before except our lovely admin and, of course, the mapper themselves. They will have 15 minutes on this brand new map to set their best time, after which we will play a couple of days style knockout. And we made the transition a few weeks back that for the first few rounds, it is 8 players being eliminated until we get down to Mocked. What's the magic number?
Top 64.
Top 64, and at that point we move to 4 players eliminated until we get down to our top 16?
16,
and then it's 2 players eliminated until we get to our top 5, top 6. It depends on whether we start with an odd or even number, and then from there it's just 1 player eliminated until we finish things out. And we're looking forward to seeing how these players go. I mean, as I mentioned there, Mocked, and as you already knew, 14 players have won this competition in the past out of 19. I mean, it's one of the reasons we say it all the time. We love Mini RPG. It is a little bit unpredictable. The door is open for first-time winners. I'm kind of hoping that we see another first-time winner here in Edition 20.
Of course, first-time winners are always very, very nice. And we only had 3 multiple winners. And those are Marius, 89, Hazard, and I believe Yannex. I think Marius leads the chart with 3 wins. Then Hazard's got 2, and so does Yannex. And everyone else, Lars, Plexi, BMX, all of them have just won once. A Seed, Lingo, like anyone, they all just won once. And in the past weeks we had like 70, 80 plus players, so a lot of it is up to getting those results week in, week out, and getting those good runs, run in, run out, because we've seen, especially Yannick in the past weeks, my god, he's been going out at like 30th, just after he set a PB, nope, from 0 to 0, and he was out.
It definitely does happen, and you know, there is a difference still between some of those first-time winners. There are players who show up every week and are very consistent. A Seed springs to mind. You know, he had that incredibly close battle with Astronaut back in week 10 and then missed out just about. He's been on the podium a few times, does have that one win to his name. And then on the other side of the coin, you have someone like Plixie, who rarely shows up. Showed up once, I think the first time I'd ever seen him, won the event and then left, refusing to elaborate any further, which is legitimately very impressive. We'll see if he does show up this week as well, as we load onto the map to start to see how things go. The map this week is Hiems by Kainarg, described as a mixed mini RPG map, meant to be easy to finish for beginners, hard to optimize by advanced players, and to be honest, Mocked, I think that's a pretty good summary of mini RPG in general.
Yeah, I think that's a sort of a staple of the genre. It's like, okay, it's fairly beginner friendly, it's fairly doable, like, especially in this 15 minutes warm-up, it's enough time that you know how the map works. But then to extract every single tenth, every single like bit of time is going to require something else, and that's where we're going to see probably the big difference between our RPG regulars and those who just come to play for the first time or for the first few times.
Yeah, that looks pretty much like a bug slide to me as well. If you want to talk about things that might catch people out who are not regulars, might catch people out who are learning a little bit, it will be something like that, a little bit of a bug slide on plastic. Not the most obvious thing when you're coming in for the first time, but I expect we'll see players figure that out really quickly. Of course, a little bit unusual, 2 pipe sections on this map, and the mapper did draw our attention, especially to this second one, Mock. He said that this is where he expects to see risks taken, runs made or broken, because you can take that at near full speed if you're willing to risk it. If you're willing to safe it though, it's very straightforward. It's at full speed that we're going to see players struggle there a little bit.
Yeah, you can full speed that with the correct setup. That is something that, as you pointed out, the map has put attention to. But it's not the only thing. That water bounds right there, described by him as his favorite section of the map. Feels very satisfying when you land in the water and when you exit it, and that's the risky finish. We can see it there. Zimui's going to the right. You can go straight on for the quote-unquote safe finish, but if you do have that reactor boost control, you can move to the right and finish just, I'd say that looked like about a difference of a second, maybe a second and a half. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to be seeing pretty much from the top players very early on. From everyone else, maybe just about top 50.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is Looker's Turbo demonstrating the bug slide for us. And one of the skills that I've never quite mastered on the bug slide is actually managing to exit it cleanly. It's definitely harder than it looks. I mean, getting into the bug slide, no problem. Everyone can get into a bug slide. All you do is land sideways and turn it. But getting out of it, keeping the speed that you've managed to do it, I think especially on plastic for me, is a little bit of a struggle. So I think that's, again, going to be a space where we see players kind of separate out a little bit, especially in later rounds. That's going to be the space that creates a couple of tenths different and forces people to consider risking later on the map. Which I'm very excited to see as we watch Lookers head now towards this kind of potential risky finish. He will be attempting the risky finish, turning into it. Will he get it? He might be a little bit wide, will make it through, showing us how it's done there. And as you say, you can go straight forward into that one if you need to. It's not too bad. It works out definitely. And we'll see how that one does manage to go. Looking forward to seeing that. I mean, reactor boost and reactor control is something that we don't always see on maps, mini RPG included, despite that probably being the one format where it does make a little bit of sense. And I'm definitely expecting to see a few people miss a little bit, the Quidditch players flying off on their brooms and completely missing the goal on that one, Mocked.
Yeah, it's... You're just pointing it out, Drake. I don't even know where to follow up on that. As you know, you said earlier, the bug style, a difficult mechanic, definitely. But that's where I think the beginner friendliness stops, where a bug slide becomes mandatory to set a fast time. I think that is where everything just, you know, it makes it a lot more difficult than for new players than for those who are experienced. Like we have seen Lucas Turbo, of course, in the server already. So a player of like his experience level will be like, yeah, Bugs, okay, I'll do that every other day, and especially now during khaki season as well. People, the players that play Trackmania a lot will be very, very versed in the oddities of the physics engine.
That's actually true. We are deep in khaki season right now, and a lot of these players will be completely 100% experienced on those weirder mechanics, on how the car handles in those edge cases. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. Of course, a lot of kind of more subtle things on this map, in the sense of there's a lot of transfers. It is a kind of transfer heavy map. That one is a more obvious one, but there is that kind of jump where there's no gap in the road earlier on in the map. When we get back to it, we'll point it out again. And that's again a place where experience tells, right? Knowing what line you want to take to minimize airtime, to keep your acceleration going. Nako showing a very clean transition there. Here's another one up onto the dirt. Then here is this pipe where if you get the line right, you can just full speed around. But it's these transfers that I also expect to make or break players. Maybe not in our earliest rounds, maybe not in our latest rounds, but I think especially in the middle rounds, those could be places the players go out.
The minimizing of airtime is always that beautiful risk-reward setting, right? Where you can go low, you can try to get it down. Like when you're just trying to get it down, you're trying to catch up, but you're just not quite able to catch up. And in the end, that you might just crash by going just that tiny bit, that iota too low. So that is definitely something where time is to be gained and time is to be had, and that's just not an RPG thing. That's, I think, in general, that's a very Trackmania thing on every campaign map. We can see it, like, if you hunt the map, you want to minimize every single bit of airtime. But right here in Mini RPG of the Week, because it's just a 1 minute long map and because it's a knockout stage, you have to minimize it perfectly every time. And you said it's going to be less important once we come to an end. I argued a different point. I'd say it becomes more important because the players know that they have to full risk it.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. I think you're right that we do need to keep an eye on those transitions in general, and we will see players going for those full risks. I think that jump in particular is a subtle one that's going to catch a couple of players out when they are risking it. They jump a little bit too inside and end up catching their wheels on something instead, and that's going to be exciting to watch. Taking a look at the times on the server so far, the author did tell us, the lovely kid, the lovely Kynark, that he managed to set a 102-ish author time without hunting too much, but he does expect the players will be managing to go lower than that. With about, 8 minutes left, 7 minutes gone here in warm-up, we're already down around the 1 minute mark. He did expect we could probably see about a 58, wouldn't be too shocked to that, maybe even a 57 seconds. And there's a lot of room for time to be found on this one.
Yeah, and I'm yet to see any players, when we speak about time saved, I'm yet to see any player really go full speed on that second pipe. Like, we can see them, they're lifting just right before it. They're still lifting, they don't have that confidence yet to just go full balls to the wall and just proper send it. But if you're looking at the times overall, I mean, Gold with the 100.7, then keep practicing with the 1 minute flat 0.8. I think the times are going to tumble. If we do see a 58 seconds like the mapper anticipates, I'm not quite sure. But what we're seeing right now is our fellow caster and mini RPG caster as well, Orion, struggling quite a bit on this early checkpoint.
Yeah, and clearly not a Royals player. That first pipe giving him a few difficulties, and you can see there the importance of that transition up onto it. We'll see Varbuzz potentially in a second going over it as well. But Orion, I think, demonstrated that it's important not just for, trying to get a good time, but actually just keeping the speed for the speed check into the next checkpoint. We'd been on board with a lot of our more experienced players who were nailing that transition. And if you get it a little bit wrong, you go a little bit too wide on your jump up towards the checkpoint, you just won't have the speed for it. Let's see if Varbuzz can do it. He's going to be very outside. He's going to go flying off the edge. It's a deceptively hard one there.
It is. It looks very easy, but pipes to have their own sort of quirks, and we're seeing that right now with pretty much every player we seem to be following. But I've also seen one thing from Blackballs in chat. I'm not sure if you caught onto this, Nure. He said, "Now is this week's your chance, everyone here in the lobby, as the top players are busy with the RPG Brawl on Trackmania 2 Stadium." And I wasn't aware of that at all.
No, I wasn't either.
So both of us being caught a bit by surprise, and that opens the gate. That's why we haven't seen a lot of familiar names. I mean, Yog, we already know from past weeks, and that's odd. He went full speed on that one. That was beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was pretty clean. Look, I don't keep up with TM2 news anymore. All right, dead game. It's Definitely the game that I started with, though. I have some good memories playing that one. It's an awful lot of fun. But right now, look, we're in TM 2020. We're having a good time here, but it is definitely room then, potentially, if some of the players who might not be here, and I know Marius is out to dinner as well, so can't join us this week. So there's a couple of players there. Our only 3-time winner not available. Then, yeah, someone could sneak to the top of the leaderboard. We were talking about the potential for a first-time winner, basically any week in Mini RPG of the Week. I'm honestly not sure if any of our previous winners are even here at the moment.
Yeah, I see BMX. I see
BMX and a seed are both here. So 2 of our previous 14 winners potentially on the server. Maybe 1 or 2 others who are kind of sneaking around and haven't managed to get onto the leaderboards just yet, but it looks wide open to me at the moment.
It does look fairly open, but what I'm also seeing is that, you know, at the very top of the local records, we see some names that we haven't seen. Like Gold, we haven't seen before. Keep Practicing is not a name that we've seen at the very top of the leaderboards. Neither is Ender. So, and then we have Nyko, Acid, Lucis, and of course, in 12th, Lucky's Turbo, and another 11th, Dank. So, I'm honestly a bit surprised that maybe the new guard, or maybe even players that are RPG specialists that we just don't know quite yet because they haven't shown up to Mini RPG of the Week, or have not been brilliant in the Artifact Cup a couple of months back.
The Artifact Cup was an awful lot of fun. A lot of good players participating in that one. Novu sends his nose into a wall as well. We are heading towards it. Maybe one of the signs that, you know, we don't have as many of the players who do usually really push times down in this kind of warm-up section is that we are still hovering around the 1 minute. No big improvements in the last kind of 4 or 5 minutes, really. And normally we would see by now maybe another second shaved off the time from what we had at the kind of 10-minute mark. We'll see if it happens. Still 4 minutes left in this warm-up here. Still definitely room to full risk. And this is, again, a classic mini RPG map in the truest sense of the word, in that it does have my favorite thing, Mockfish. It has decision points for our players. There are so many places where you can choose to risk it a little bit more. Pipe is just a great block for that in general, because like you say, you'll see a lot of players choose to just lift, just take it a little bit easier rather than going flying off. But you can flat out any curve pipe if you get it absolutely right, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out in rounds.
Get it spot on. It's definitely something for you to keep in mind if you have that potential, because you do have a slight bit of an advantage. But it seems like that backside is going to be also very decisive, because that is once more one of those decision points. Do you actually go for the backside, or do you just be, especially in the earlier rounds, are like, I'd rather not. I don't quite fancy the backside here, so I'd rather just enjoy my time and try to continue it and finish the map safely. Quentin looking for the inside line there, but that's blocked off.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't go inside because the mapper has anticipated you and put a block there, and that's a little bit unfortunate. Gold has had his first place taken off him. Keep Practicing has made that improvement that we were talking about inside the 1 minute mark. Now, can Gold seize it back at this point? Nope, that's going to be a catch on the quarter pipe. That's going to compromise him a little bit too much. He is keeping going, and it is something we like to see, figuring out what your compromised lines do look like once you're in this section. And there is that flat out pipe for the second section, using it to set up now here, going into the last quarter pipe jump of the map as well. This is one of those lovely quarter pipes where you end up an awful lot higher. Good trick for the mapper, lets him cross back over himself, lets him gain a little bit of height in the map. This trick as well, always an aesthetically pleasing one where you bounce up out of the water. One that we haven't highlighted so far, Mocked, but the mapper did say, look, he likes it, it looks pretty. Now let's see, how's Gold handling this end? Absolutely flawlessly. Will not improve on his time, and that really does come down to catching his wheels in the middle, but then continuing on just to see what he could do with the run that looks like that.
Yeah, it's something that I like to mention quite a bit. It's knowing your fail safes, knowing your strats. If something does not go to plan, how do you recover? What do? Do you respawn? What are the respawns looking like? Are they safe? Are they maybe not built perfectly? Or are they a bit awkward? Where do you want to respawn? And also, when do you cut your losses? Those respawn timings are incredibly important, and we've seen things be decided. We've seen rounds be decided by just having the smarter respawn, by just taking the loss early, cutting your losses, and just going for it. But there was one thing I just noticed during Gold's run after the backslide, where I wasn't quite sure, but I saw potential for a water bounce. I saw potential for a water bounce. I think we're going to come to it. We're not going to come to it, after the second pipe, I think there's a water bounce there when they come off and jump into the water before they get reactor boost. Yeah. And I wonder if that's because there's no steering block there whatsoever. So I wonder if there could be some action key shenanigans there.
I see what you're thinking about. We'll keep an eye on players' wheels. Now, we don't have the full info on who's using what steering devices, who's doing exactly what with their lives, but we'll keep an eye out, keep an eye on the angles of people's wheels as they hit the water. It is a very short little stretch of water, but hey, one bounce is all you need potentially in those ones. I will say also the track wraps around quite quickly after that, so gaining massive amounts of speeds off a single bounce, I'm not sure will actually be all that much of an advantage. That's going to be my guess. That's my hope, Mockfish, is that it's being considered by our mapper here, that he has managed to kind of, map in such a way that action keys are not going to be the decider on a water bounce. But hey, I mean, it could be exciting in a final round to see someone gain a little bit of a lead. There are 15 minutes comes to an end. End of the warm-up. Keep practicing. Managed to hold on to the top of the leaderboard. Gold has been knocked down a little bit, but Keep Practicing is the only player who has managed to get inside that 1 minute mark. We're into our warm-up round. Definitely a few players missing. We're 50 players or so this week, but that just means all that much easier for someone to maybe break their way onto the podium for the first time.
Yeah, 43 players are going to take the start line. One of them is technically the player, so 42 players that are actually playing. This is what we're going to see. It's about half of what we normally get, but given there's an RPG cap on Trackmania 2, it's understandable that we don't have our usual amount of players. But now we can already see Mimo. Everyone's still breaking, but this water bounce here, I think you can get a second one. And with how little speed you have there, I think you could get away with some shenanigans.
Possibly, but I do see just the hard right turn on the dirt to the immediately afterwards. I don't think that there's really anything to be gained by, gaining an extra little bit of speed off that water. We will keep an eye on it. I'm just going to say it. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a decider in any of these runs. Maybe with hunting, maybe looking for last little tenth, it could mean something. The best time in the warm-up round, though, will be a 1 minute 0.46, and that's a seed. Could be on the lookout to join that elite club of two-time winners.
I mean, as we said at the beginning of the broadcast, all of two-time winners. We've got Hazard and we've got Yannick as the only other two-time winners, and then of course Marius on 3. So it is quite an illustrious list of multiple winners. It's not easy, let's just say that. It's not easy to win, but given our warm-up round and our overall pace that we see from the players, I don't think we're going to see anyone DNFing on time. So I think, first thing, we like to have a fun little guessing game. How many players get knocked out round 1? I think we're just going to be 4. Yeah.
It's a boring guess, but unfortunately, I think you're right. It does feel most likely at the moment. Unless we do see something like, 5 players doing what Yorsh is doing here and just repeatedly going for the risky fin and missing. But it is the time to practice it. It is the time to go for it. No elimination in the first round, Mocked. We are heading into our first round of week 20 of Mini RPG of the week here on Hiems by Kynarg. 4 players will be eliminated.
4 players out of 43, 40 will survive, and we have already seen some players not necessarily having the greatest time at the first checkpoint, and I think there was 4 or 5 actually completely failing, Zimuis being one of them. The flurry of cars is jumping over them. We're going to stay with our 4 failures here at the back of the pack. Those 3 with Zimuis and Jesper Stroh, they will be the ones who are going to fight to stay alive.
And there is definitely a fight here as well. There's cars in front of them that could be caught just with good driving. We're early enough in the competition that still mistakes look like they could decide it. We'll see if Zemus has managed to overtake anyone when he gets to this next checkpoint. Has there been any failures? There's been a couple, and he's clean onto the pipe. Still plenty of the map to go, though, at this point. This is about the halfway mark, it feels like. Maybe not in terms of time, but definitely in terms of the amount of track, the amount of tricks left to drive in it. Jesper is the player at risk now. Is there anyone in front of him that he can catch?
Sure hope there is. He doesn't have a lot of track room, and he just overtook someone. I wonder if that was Sylvie's. I wonder if Jasper's now in 38. He is. He's safe, and now it's gonna be all for the risky finish. All to play for. Who's going to make it? It's Mrs. Skippy going to be the one. No, I don't think she's gonna do it. Oh my god, she is!
Someone else looks to have failed in front. Maybe they went for the safe fin. Maybe they lost too much time. Hey, the safe fin definitely failable as well as gets demonstrated there. It wouldn't have mattered. and that is Mississippi making the snipe happen on the goal line. 4 players eliminated, just like we predicted, Mock, but we won't pat ourselves too much on the back for that one. A little bit of an easy prediction as we head inside our top 40.
And at the very top, I just want to put attention to it very quickly. Keep practicing with a new local record of 59.6, about a tenth or so quicker than his previous time of a 59.7. So definitely still some improvement to be had, but Jesper's Row improvement is definitely one thing that this player is going to need to find, as he is again struggling on the first checkpoint.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough, but managed to stay alive, managed to keep it clean through the rest of the map last time around. Let's see if the same holds true this time. Right now, Tarrell is right on the borderline. Mistake could cost them an awful lot. Jura Jojo, the player just in front of them, and that's a player you'd expect to manage to overtake a couple of people here as well. Full release from Tarrell on the pipe, but it won't matter because they're still nice and clean, nice and safe, fairly far up the board. At the moment, Idolus is the player who's in the hot zone, is chasing, and it is Tarrell just in front of them, but a respawn from a Seed, who's now a little bit in the hot seat.
Seed that far down, something has not worked out for him, and he's finding himself on the chopping block, nearing elimination, but that's a big mistake from Idolus, and the respawn not entirely safe either, has to live massively, and now his chances go and take a plunge down the drain. However, Yoshi is right in front of him. Can he get the risky finish? It's all about the speed to the end. Yoshi, my bet, will get it. Idolus, though, Terrell. I think Terrell has failed.
Look at the top of our leaderboard. Look at the top of our leaderboard. Terrell may have failed. There were 3 players within 13,000 of a second.
God.
Novu and Ender tied in that round, Mockfish. That's wild. Oh my god, what a round that was at the top.
Shouldn't Ender be second, technically, because of the way tiebreakers work in Trackmania? It should be alphabetically.
I don't know. Listen, it used to be alphabetical. Maybe they patched it. Maybe there is counting more decimal places nowadays. It's hard to tell. That's a wild round at the top. I hope we get to see more of those when we are down to our top 3 as well. A Seed, definitely the player to highlight in that round. I mean, he didn't go out, but you don't expect him to see him at the bottom that often. And we'll see now. It's these kind of couple of rounds after that happens where the hands might still be a little bit shaky. The mistakes might still come through.
Speaking from personal experience, I think it's okay to have a bad round early on and be in that hot seat a little bit earlier than you expect, because it keeps you on your toes. It's like, okay, I've had my mistake, I just need to clean it up, and so you put extra focus on the next one. You just keep it clean, keep it within your lines, and don't do anything stupid, basically. It's almost therapeutical, if you can say that, to just make that mistake early on. However, no one's going to make mistakes here. Lucis, we can see the bit of time he gained by just not braking as heavily as his direct competitor, as he is moving outside of the bottom 4.
Yeah, Mississippi managing to overtake people towards the back half of the map again. Luce is very slow in front there. May have been forced into a full double respawn. Maybe not, but either way, lost a lot of speed and is now battling with players around them for this final position. Yorsh is the player who has been overtaken, though, and the bounce will work up out of the water. You don't want to be steering too much. That's definitely one way in which that bounce out can fail you when you reset out of the reactor. Orion finishing in front. Jojo will hit it. Mississippi will hit it, and Yorsh will miss. It wouldn't quite have mattered anyway, the players in front of them managing to hit it, but Yorsh will be eliminated. We'll have to make the long trek back. We'll miss one more time. We did watch Yorsh struggle a little bit in that first round with this upside down reactor finish, and may not even manage to do it this time around.
It's not an easy one, the upside down reactor. It does require quite a bit of car control, and especially if you're a bit new at the game or haven't got a lot of experience with reactor boost overall, it is one that will definitely catch you out. It is by no means easy to control the car upside down. It just feels very, very weird as well, as we have to say goodbye to Yog as well, who I expected a bit more of, given his prevalence in recent mini RPGs of the week. He's been one that's been around for quite a bit.
Yeah, nearly all of them, I feel like. One of the most consistent players and a relatively early exit. Relatively early, I mean, despite that, this would still normally be enough to beat kind of 40 or 50 players. So, again, we're with slightly lower numbers, but some of those have been taken off the top as well. So still, we'll call it an early exit and we'll say no more about it for Yog. Novu is a player who is pretty good and is currently sitting down in the hot seat. The player currently holding the 7th place on the local records. And here's Mississippi alongside Idolus. Both of them surviving some fairly exciting rounds up until this point.
Everyone I mean, if you're here, you survived. I think that is always the logical deduction to be made. Zimu's player that's been struggling on round 1 again, finding himself down the bottom. Idolus, again, another player that we've seen near the bottom for a lot of these rounds, as Mrs. Skippy is now again maybe trying to snipe her way into the top 27. As let's not forget what's on the line here for the winner. Well, obviously, unfortunately, no money, but still a shout out, a TM News post on the TM News channel, and top 10 gets a mention on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little place to be. Lucis will drop out. No top 10 for them. The player from Loading Dargan gone as well. Idolus will not survive any longer. And it was Zimuis who dropped in just in 27th place. Just about snipes the corner. Does Dargan will get a finish in ahead of Idolus. And Mrs. Skippy surviving another round, making themselves the main character of this week for sure. Making sure they're always on our screens and in our minds, Mocked.
Yep. Mrs. Skippy on our screens every time, but that's what happens if you're on a chopping block. We're gonna focus on you because it's just a good place to be. It's a good place to gauge where you're at. As hopefully for Mrs. Skippy, she can avoid that by just driving a little bit cleaner and a little bit quicker around, as Lucas Turbo is exemplifying here at the start. Beautiful start from him, getting into that top 4. Rel Vitesse struggling with the start, and so is BMX, one of our winners from an earlier edition. I think edition 11 or 12 is what BMX won right now. Struggling, finding himself in second to last in 26.
Yeah. I was going to go and see if I could find it quickly, but I can't. Not that quickly. I can tell you definitely wasn't 11 or 12. Unlucky, Mocked. You clearly don't know as much as you think you do. I mean, hey, happens to the best of us.
How dare I? How dare I?
How dare you attempt to make a guess? Either way, that previous win not going to help BMX at this point. A mistake in front of him would help him out an awful lot, and there's plenty of room for that to happen in the back half of this map. Even if it is at the very finish, it's a risky finish. It's a tricky, risky finish, and someone could make the mistake on it. He is chasing down Zimuis, who's in front of him, but there hasn't been any mistakes in that last section. That kind of relatively, I'm not going to call it easy section in the middle of the map, hasn't borne fruit, and I think that's everyone making the risky finish. Players getting consistent at it already. I say getting consistent at it. Zimuis did miss, but it wouldn't have made a difference to him anyway, and it doesn't make a difference for BMX, who will drop out in 24th place.
BMX is out, and Novu just about making it through. We see Novu in that awesome tie a few rounds back where two players, him and Ender actually, were 13 thousandths of a second behind the leader. Novu, after that round, quickly deteriorating, but vitally not out. This is it with Cup of the Day style knockout. It's not about getting first every time, it's just about not getting last.
You don't want to get last place. Very important to try and keep out of those spaces. I think we were talking about on the Irish Open Cup broadcast, Mocked. You don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to be faster than the person behind you. And that's who the bear will catch. Mrs. Skippy has managed to run just that little bit faster than everyone behind him so far. The bear will not catch them for the time being, but maybe this is the round where it finally does happen, as they are very securely in the danger zone at the moment. And Alex just behind them as well. Novu at the very back, and Novu's had a bit of a mare here in these rounds. Still sitting inside the top 10 comfortably on times on the server, but struggling to show that pace here in knockouts.
Novu still struggling, and so is Lucas Turbo for the first time in this round, as he just gets himself into P19, but P20 Hazu is right on his tail, but that's Lucas Turbo's specialty, those quarter pipe jumps. Hazu, though, not a slouch either. Early landing by Lucas Turbo, gets more time on the reactor, gets more speed because of it. It is close here at the very death. Who is going to make it? Are there any failures in front? No, it seems like everyone has made it. Lucas Turbo has made it as well, and that means that Hazu is out. So is Nalax, so is Novu, and joining them after a long time on the chipping block, it's Mr. Skippy.
Not so Skippy no more. We'll finally drop out here, and in good company, Novu getting eliminated in 22nd place. A little bit surprising, maybe given the time he'd managed to put up on the leaderboard up until this point, but we will say goodbye to them here, and that is once again a little bit more space, a little bit more breathing room, potentially opening up in the top 10 as we head towards the back half of knockouts. To
indeed head to the second half. We had 43 players enter. We are currently sitting on 19 that are remaining. And our leader, one of the very, very fast players, Gold, is actually having a bit of trouble. So is Keep Practicing. So is Luckerstone. I know it's still very early on, but those are big names that are struggling here.
Yeah, an interesting one to see so far. Again, one of those top players, Gold, has dropped a little bit of a ways down the leaderboard from that first place he was sitting in for a while during the warm-up, but hasn't dropped all that far down that we'd be expecting to see him drop out here in just inside the top 20. Lookers Turbo, this is going to be a brutal round in terms of knockouts. This one always is our last knockout of 4, but seeing Lookers Turbo and Gold and Dank go out all at the same time would honestly surprise me a little bit.
That would be quite something, but like so, I think he does have the speed advantage over the player in front of him. Now he just has to catch him up. His line is a bit suboptimal. It's too wide, and Lucas Turbo is out. We say goodbye to the German in P16. One mistake too many, and the Irishman Dank will join him, as will Gold. Dank looking not so dank right now.
He's had the best ever Irish finish in a mini RPG of the week, making it inside the top 10 on one occasion, but will not be repeating that feat this week. Once again, in good Turbo, Gold and Lookers Turbo dropping out alongside him as we head to the last round of 4. We're down to 2 knockouts around now, and it's going to get a little bit easier for 1 or 2 rounds, but the competition just keeps getting stiffer around you.
Yeah, everyone is just dialing in their lines. Everyone is just dialing in how they have to drive pretty much everything at this time. Volodya Puck is struggling though, so is Orion. This might be the end for him. He's very prolific on full speed RPG, not a style that he usually fancies. He's giving it a go, and he's giving himself a proper go at it. Calva right in front of him is his target, so is Jan von Spiek. How much is going to slow down? A little bit more than those players in front of him, so he's going to lose some time.
Yeah, he's going to lose just a little bit of time, and this is a good performance from Orion so far, but this may be the round it ends on, as he has slowed down a lot through that checkpoint. That's a very high jump through the quarter pipe as well. It is still enough to keep in front of the players behind, and honestly, Volodya Puck and Edis are a long way back. All you need to do is keep it clean to the finish line at this point. I'm not sure we'll see any players still going for the safe fin, because the safe fin doesn't feel all that much safer than the risky fin at this point. That looks like a miss. That is a miss. No! Somehow sneaking across it. The line there is Dimus. And that does mean the players behind Valor and the Edis will be dropping out. But that looked risky. That was a very lucky bounce indeed.
That was lucky bounce or perfect car control. Let's just agree on a mixture of both for this one. I mean, you still have to react. You still have to not panic, not just suddenly brake or type left or instantly respawn. Just give yourself a chance, and sometimes it'll just work out. But this is about the time. We know it, that usually one of our top contenders falls out. We have already seen Gold topple out, but he's not been in the top 5 of the local records. I'm still waiting for one of the top 5 to just completely bin it. So keep practicing. Usually it's our first ranked players to go about lengthwise when this would happen. So I'm looking at you. Keep practicing. You have to keep it clean, and who has not kept it clean is Orion. A little bit too eager there on the transition. Now has to fight from the back, but joining him in his fight back is Nairoko.
Come on, Orion. I believe in your top 10 in this edition. It's going to be a little bit hard. There's definitely work to be done from this point, and there's a lot of good players in front as well. Heave, another winner, a one-time winner, a player that we haven't mentioned up until this point. There's definitely strong competition left in front at this point, but it's not impossible. Acid will overtake Heave on that pipe as well. And this is a bit of a fight down at the bottom. Nyariko and Orion still a long way back. They're still a very long way back indeed. But there's a chance someone could make that mistake. I do think all of these sections for the players at this point leading up to that risky fin feel relatively safe. I'm not expecting to see that be a decisive section for anyone. What we are on board with now is Heave. Seeing if any of these players do fail to finish. Acid taking a very wide line, Heave taking a little bit tighter, but still finishing. And with everyone keeping it clean, that does mean Nyariko and Orion are safe across the line. And they will wrap things up in 12th and 12th and 13th this week.
Imagine being a caster for Mini RPG of the Week and not having a top 10.
That's true.
Couldn't be
Couldn't
me.
be me. Could be me. Could very much be me. Is
But
in fact me.
You haven't played. You haven't played.
I played the 1 week where the cast broke, and I did not do very well because I had Deployer flaming me in the background the entire time.
I mean,
through the call.
if I had an angry Frenchman flaming me, I also don't think I would do well. I would have, especially as a German, I don't think that would go well, like, naturally.
Yeah. The Germans and the French are natural enemies, like the Scots and the English, or the Scots and the Irish, or the English and the Irish, and the
or the
English
Scots
and the
or other
English
Scots.
Yeah. We got to the quote eventually. It just took you mostly more than me to actually get it there. There's someone falling off the inside of the bug slide, and that's going to make things a little bit more difficult for them. As they are now a long way back. Turns out, being behind in the racing game, Mockfish, not good for your chances.
Not good indeed, and what's also not good is having the strongest time and DNFing as keep practicing. That's the cardinal sin of mini RPG of the week, and he presses the DNF button, is out. Our top contender, I said it, he's about to drop at some point now, and he does not disappoint in that regard. However, he will be disappointed because he's also not going to get a mention on the Wikipedia page. That is going to Calvin Ryder, who's most likely going to go out in P10. Yeah, I don't see anyone failing the finish right in front of him. He is out. Jan van Speek making it through, and so is, speaking of French and German, Zalia das Baguette.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jura Jojo has, pointed out in chat, Wikipedia page achieved. I fully expect to see them, just hit that DNF button as soon as the next round starts. Everything they looked to do this week, fully done. No, joking, of course. He'll keep going. We'll see how things go. But Jan van Speek will fall off a pipe right at the beginning, much like we watched Orion do in previous rounds and in the warm-up as well. It'll happen to Jan here at an inopportune time. One of our last 2 rounds with 2 eliminations, and again, I think we're hitting that point of competition where this map has been mastered. There's no really difficult tricks. There's no pseudo-random elements, it feels like, mocked either. It does feel like these players, for the most part, when they're not under pressure, are going to be able to keep things clean.
They know what they're doing, definitely, but it's now it's not about knowing what you're doing. It's knowing what you're doing and doing it quickly. As what a pipe section that was from Dimus over Jura Jojo, but doesn't quite matter because Jan van Speek again had a mare, and Ender, again, one of our top players, top 4 on the local records, has pressed that DNF button. Never, ever, ever DNF on Mini RPG of the Week.
Yeah, you fools, you clowns, what have you done? I mean, anyone could make that mistake in front of you. They might not, but you'll never know. It's the Bradbury principle. You don't give up until you've crossed the finish line. And that's absolutely what happens. Jan, though, will be dropping out unless someone's made the mistake they have not. It'll be a very respectable 8th place finish, and honestly, it was the fight from the back ever since they fell off that pipe in turn 1.
Yeah, it was and that was indeed just the big mistake at the beginning that cost him dearly. But now, we said about the last elimination of 4 players is going to be tough. This is the last elimination round for 2 players getting eliminated. And out of our 7 players, 2 are going to go out. That is 28% of the field going out this round. If in any round you have to keep it clean, it's this one.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit risky. It's this in the last round, and that is not clean. That's Salier going to be hitting the inside of the wall and losing an awful lot of time, losing an awful lot of speed, and a lot of track position to players in front. But here is a fight, and we've already seen how Demus looked around this pipe once. Can they do it again? Jojo falls off the outside, and it doesn't matter how fast Demus was around that pipe, but he has hit a wall as well, and that leaves the way open for Salier to come back on the inside, back up into 5th place, and now it could all come down to this ending. Which of these players can manage to get their turtle right? Which of them can keep the inside line heading towards that finish line? Salier has the edge, has the time, can get it right first time, and they will be through into our top 5. They're clear in the distance. They'll cross the line. They split the uprights perfectly, and Demas looked like they'd done enough mocked, but that outside touch going through the checkpoint was just enough to throw them off.
The checkpoint proving once more to be the most fatal enemy of any Trackmania player in any narrow section. As Demus, unfortunately, he had the brilliant pipe section yet again, but after that, just a little bit too wide on the checkpoint, trying to conserve just that bit more speed. But at the top, we see a Seed with a 59.2, just stamping his authority on this round. And Quentin, not far back either, Someone has fallen, though, in this 14th round at the very beginning.
It looks like it was Mimo Jr. I was going to say it might have been Salier, but no, it was Mimo. And now it's going to be awfully tough. I don't expect the players in front to do many mistakes from here. But we have seen even that second pipe can still catch people out at this point. And I'm looking forward to our final couple of rounds because, as you've just mentioned, Acid and Quentin are trading blows at the top of the table. Acid has had the edge in just pure pace so far, obviously, topping the leaderboard. But when it comes to those final rounds, when you have players that are this close and when they are peaking right at the end, we could be all set up for a blazing final round between these two.
Could be set up, but they have to keep it clean. And who is keeping it clean is Mimo, as he's staging a comeback. Celia does forget not having the best round, keeping it very clean, and that's allowing Mimo to catch up to Sniff. And he is sniffing, he's getting ever closer, but will it be enough? He's got the speed advantage. It's going to be close to the end. Celia with a wide setup, but the cutback is good. It is enough. He played that pretty much perfectly how he needed to be. He knew he was safe from anyone. He knew he had a lot of time in hand, and he used that. Didn't risk anything, just got himself that 4th place. But now, it's not about keeping it safe for him. Now it's about getting the speed and getting it spot on.
Yeah, top 4 place on the podium on the line. Nobody will make the mistake that cost them the round entirely on the first one, but Salier is already dropping a long way back from the 3 cars in front. Acid and Quentin already managing to find themselves a little bit of an edge as well. And honestly, the players, just based on the times they've set on this server, seem to be lined up pretty nicely, but a bug slide has cost Acid a little bit of time. And honestly, at this point, I'm focusing on the cars in front because we're starting to get the preview of how our finals might start to look.
Yeah, I think our top 3 are well clear, and Celia, yep, he DNF'd as well. He knows that these 3 are not going to make any mistakes, and now we're going to
make the mistake now.
No, now we're going to see how top performance on this map looks like. As Quentin is falling back a little bit, not quite finding his 59.8 form, but Acid and Heath, these 2 are really going for it. Is there going to be a new PB? Is there going to be a new best time? Heath got it. So did Acid. 59.9 from both of them. And Quentin, a 1 minute point 1, just not cutting it. It's good enough to make 3rd, but it won't be good enough to make top 2.
That's a PB for Heave, though, and it does mean that all 3 of our podium racers go into this podium round with a time inside the 1 minute mark, and Heave on form, peaking at exactly the right time. He has just set that time, and he takes a very different line, maybe a slightly compromised line through that first turn, but it has kept him ahead of Quentin. But you can see the amount of speed that Quentin has carried through as a result of going wider, and you can see how far it carries in this track as well, all the way to the bug slide, and Heaves off the inside. That will decide things, surely, for Heave. Will stay on board with the 2 cars in front and just see, do one of these players make a mistake at this point?
If anyone makes a mistake, Heath is back in the race, but it doesn't look like it, and it doesn't look like Ninua does it, that either Acid or Quentin is going to make any stupid mistakes. Quentin, though, very tight. Oh my god, that was nearly it.
That was absolutely tight at the death there. But this is the section of the track where, yeah, things feel very safe. Short of you oversteering and not getting the bounce up out of the water there on the reactor boost. Reset underwater, you feel fine. And these 2 players will head to the line. My heart. Quentin. For a second, it looked like the mistake had been made. Maybe he was in with a chance, but hey, he's a long way off. Anyway, he's going for a little bit of a drive. He's showing off what he can do with the reactor boost and will drop out in 3rd place. Our finalists in the 20th edition of Mini RPG of the Week will be the top 2 on the leaderboard. It's Acid versus Quentin.
And a better final we could not ask for. Quentin cutting it very close there at the death, at the reactor boost finish. Now it's no saving it out. Now it's just full send all the way, and both of these players incredibly close together. 1/1000th of a second between them. Acid going for a bit of a wider setup into the bug slide, but Quentin getting a cleaner bug slide and just getting his advantage nice and early. Acid, was that a touch? Did he compromise his exit?
A little bit, just a little bit, but it was because he didn't have the speed coming out of the bug slide. Now he has to fully send it around this pipe. He's gained a little bit of time back on Quentin, but it's not going to be enough to really make the difference. It will come down to this end, and Quentin, I'm not sure he can afford an end like that again, because he did make it a seat as much lower this time around. But if Quentin goes like he did last time, if he touches on the outside, he still got across the line. It slowed him down an awful lot. Acid is in room to capitalize.
And Quentin is... Oh my god, this is going to be close. This is going to be very, very close. Quentin on C to C. There's the speed advantage. Who's going to make it? Who's going to make it? Oh, Quentin is funking! Oof! Big oof! Oof!
Quentin crashes out on the finish. If he had Ghosts on, if he could hear a seed coming, he knew what he had to do, and what he had to do was risk it because a seed was coming with speed. And Quentin, fair play to him, he went for the risk. He tried to cut as inside as possible because that was his only chance. And unfortunately for him, it leads into a wall. It leads to a seed joining an elite club, one of only 4 multiple-time winners on Mini RPG of the Week.
And what a finish. That was deserving of a final. I mean, a lot of the times we were like, the final round is decided by an early mistake, or it's just not that close. But this time it was close to the very, very end. And both these players, both the Seed and Quentin, massive GGs. Not just to them, of course, but for every one of the 43 players that have participated in edition number 20 of the Mini RPG of the Week. But my oh my, I don't know, even without Quentin bonking at the end there at the ring, I genuinely don't know who would have won that. I think that was a matter of thousands.
It literally would have been. I think a seed probably had it. He was just coming with more pace. Quentin's only hope was to try to go for that really inside line and just go the shortest distance possible into the ring checkpoint. Again, I love it when players make the correct decisions and the execution only slightly lets them down, because that was not just a matter of thousandths at the end, it was a matter of millimeters as well. Quentin, I say let down by his execution, but I mean, it was incredibly tight. I mean, you do that 100 times, you maybe get the angle he was going for 5 or 6, right? It was really close. He made the correct decision, and I'm so excited to see it play out that way, because it's a good time. We love to see it here on the broadcast, Mockton. What a fitting way to round out 5 months of Mini RPG of the Week. We hope you've enjoyed the cast here. I hope you've enjoyed the previous 5 months. Plenty more still to come up, and maybe a few surprises to be announced over coming weeks as well for us here on Mini RPG of the Week. We will keep you informed. You'll want to jump onto the Discord to be appraised of any of those potential surprises as soon as possible. And as always then, for now, it is goodbye, but we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I just miss the way you go. And I hate the way we left it, pretending being selfish. But you know I cannot help it, 'cause I'm not the best with help. But still need you on the phone, 'cause I can't fall asleep alone. Oh God, just a second. Think I might have slept it. I'm the one who made this bed. I gotta rep it. Ain't no rest for the wicked or the selfish. But maybe there's another way to say that I like to our boss when I calls you. Ain't a thing that is called but a fall through. Got a couple nights and